Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. So as you can tell in the title, today's video is part one of the Make It Happen Summit. Now basically the Make It Happen Summit is actually something that was started about 3 years ago now in South Africa, and they've basically taken it all over the world. It's by a company called Future Females, and it's for anybody that wants to get into business, who needs the confidence, who needs reassurance or anything like that in starting up a business. And I've actually recorded a few of the videos that were quite inspirational, and I'm going to share them with you. So the first video that I actually did was from Rolene Strouse, I believe her name is. And yeah, she's very inspirational, very down to earth, and you know, she basically touched on quite a lot of issues that myself and a few other people that I know have dealt with in the beauty industry, in the fashion industry, and also in the modelling industry. And she basically went through certain things, and I thought that it'd be nice to share this one with you. As you can tell, I wasn't able to upload last week because I was on this 4-day course and it was quite intense, and I just could not look at a computer at all. So let's get on with the video itself. I'm gonna play the video now and I hope you really enjoy it.
Welcome, Rolene. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. Wow, it is an incredible privilege for me to be able to speak to feminine, fearless females from all over the world who is passionate about their future. So thank you once again for the invitation, and I'm so happy to be here.
Amazing. I'd also just like everyone to know that please feel free to pop any questions on the group, on the Zoom link, or on the Facebook group, just underneath this live. Any questions you have for Rolene, and I'll pose them for her at the end of this summit. Not the summit, sorry, this session as well, for Rolene to answer for you.
Yes, so yes, I think you've had such a great introduction, and it's amazing to know that we are so many females here together. And one of the things that we can really lean on is the fact that we have so many similar struggles. So I wanted to start my talk today by asking you a question, and by, in a way, trying to realize whether I'm the only one who struggles with this. So it is Monday morning, and I'm not sure whether you usually get up on a Monday morning and you start the week off with a bang. You're so excited about the week ahead. You're motivated to be productive, to get your things done, to start your week on the right foot. Monday goes extremely well. Tuesday is okay, but come Wednesday and the wheels just start falling off. By the end of the week, you realize that you've been extremely busy, but you haven't really reached any of your major goals. So who can say that they're with me? I know this happened to me so many times, and I realized how important it is for me to be able to manage my time effectively. As females and as women, we usually juggle between 3 to 5 major roles in our lives. For me, some of these roles include being a wife, a mother of 2 boys, at the moment a 3-year-old son and a 6-month-old boy, and also a transformative self-confidence coach with amazing personal coaching clients and also personal coaching online courses. And then I'm currently busy with my master's degree in philosophy and professional coaching from the University of Stellenbosch Business School. Also a director at Revita Health, which is a health-orientated organization based on Valdevie Estate here in Paarl, South Africa, with my sister-in-law, and then also previous Miss World, graduated medical doctor. So I quickly had to learn, and I realized that whenever I say yes to something, when it comes to my time, I say no to something else. And that is what usually happens to all of us. We say yes to something, we say no to something else. And that's why it's so important for us as females, as working women, to be able to manage our time. So my aim with my talk today is to be able to gift you, to be able to equip you with a few practical how-tos that you can start implementing by today, by tomorrow, to be able to manage your time more effectively and also to strengthen your self-confidence. So I want to start off by giving each and every one of you here today a free gift. So I want to gift you with my Balancing Time with Rolene workbook, a workbook that has helped me and that has completely changed my life. It's a workbook that goes through 5 ultimate steps of time management to enable you to manage your time effectively and actually plan your week in advance. So I use this every Sunday evening to plan my week, and it helped me to plan and manage my time like a pro. So if you want to get access to that, I know that they will be sharing the link for you as well, but you can follow or visit balancingtime.rolenestrauss.com for that. And to give you a few extremely valuable time management tips, I'm going to share my screen with you and actually just go through some of the things that are included in my Balancing Time workbook. So this is part of the workbook that you'll be able to get, and I'm going to go through this very quickly because each and every one of you will have access to this workbook. But I'm going to start with just the checklist and the 5 steps that completely changed my life. So step 1 when it comes to balancing time is to actually have a look into the future, to start with the future in mind. And what I mean with this is to actually start your time management session with thinking of your purpose, your life purpose, and your values. Because a lot of the time we just start a Monday, we have our to-do list and we start ticking them off and try to do everything, but we forget to look at the bigger picture. So I want you to imagine your life as a journey on your way to a certain destination. Your values and your purpose is almost like the direction that you take. It's like the compass of your time management, the compass of the things that you actually decide to work on and to use your time for. So if you start off the journey a few degrees out of place, in the beginning, it might not seem like something. It might not seem like there's anything wrong, but imagine weeks, months, and years to come, if you haven't used your values and your purpose as your compass, you might end up at a completely different place. So that is the first thing we go through in this Balancing Time workbook of mine. Step 2 is to brainstorm. And I will take you through 8 phases or 8 areas of your life in this balancing time, like your body, your mind, your finances, your business, very importantly, and your personal growth. So 8 areas of your life that we brainstorm and we decide what are the main goals that you want to reach in these 8 areas of your life within the next week. So go through that brainstorm, think of everything possible and think without constraints, because we're going to go and prioritize that in step 3. Prioritization is such an extremely important tool to have when you manage your time. How do you decide what you spend your time first on? What you use, what are the things that you're actually going to outsource? And I use a tool called the Eisenhower Matrix for this. And this is also in my Balancing Time workbook. The Eisenhower Matrix enables you to take your to-do list, the things that you brainstormed, and to categorize them in 4 different categories. Which of the things are important and urgent that I'm going to do right now? Which of the things are important but not urgent that I can actually schedule to do? Which of the things are urgent but not as important? And then you can work on your support system to ask someone else to help you with that. And which of the things are not that important and not that urgent? To be able to really prioritize according to importance and urgency. Step 4 is to plan your week in advance. And here I've realized over and over again how important it is to actually put your to-do list into your calendar. So if you have a look at my phone, I get notifications on an hourly, 30-minute, 5-minute basis that tells me, okay, now it's time to do this. Now it's time to do this. To set yourself those reminders to make sure that you won't be able to procrastinate and not do that. That it is in your diary and it's a non-negotiable. So I even plan my quality time with my kids. I have an alarm going off in the morning saying, okay, spend time with the eldest, spend time with the youngest, spend time with the hubby. And I know it sounds quite hectic, but it really helps you to remind you on what is really important, all based on your purpose and your values. Lastly, a step that a lot of us forget. What do you do if you get to the end of the day and you realize that you haven't reached any of your goals, or some of your goals, you haven't been able to tick off some of the things on your to-do list? Very important to recommit. To actually recommit, take those things and put it in your diary for tomorrow or for next week. So it's so important to recommit. These are the 5 steps that I go through in Balancing Time, my Balancing Time workbook. And don't worry about it. If you read through the instructions, you'll be able to get there. This is just an idea of what you'll be able to see. It's a digital workbook, so you can literally fill it in as you go along. So yes, these are the 8 areas that I'm talking about. So I'm so excited to be able to gift you with this time balancing with Rolene workbook of mine. Most importantly, it's so important to be able to manage your time, but even more important than that, you have to be able to realize what you want to spend your time on. Are you using valuable time to compare yourself against the perfect woman? To compare yourself against what society wants you to be, what society tells you to be? Is this measuring tape called perfect stealing your joy, your productivity at work, your peace, your self-confidence? As females, it's time for us to stand up and say, no, perfect, you can't steal my self-confidence. And if we end up comparing ourselves against what we think we should be, valuable time is stolen from us and our self-confidence is stolen from us. So I remember the day that I started measuring myself against society's version of the perfect woman like it was yesterday. It was a summer's afternoon in January 2007. I was 15 years old and I was on my way to Paris for an international modeling contract. I was on my way and there was an elderly lady who had to take my hip circumference. She took the measuring tape and she measured me. I stood in front of her, big eyes, and she said, well, 95 centimeters. We'll have to get it down to at least 90 centimeters, little lady. And from that moment, I could feel myself taking that measuring tape and starting to measure myself against what society wanted me to be. In school, the perfect girl measured my curly hair. She told me that it's not beautiful enough. And it was only recently that I started to embrace my curly hair and started to wearing it with pride. I was in school and had some friends teasing me about my hair. In Afrikaans, my home language, they mentioned that I'm a kruiskop. And I just remembered measuring myself. That little girl who think that she could do everything under the sun started slowly but surely disappearing. In high school, she measured my ability to do mathematics, to be a leader, to speak in front of people. At varsity, to be an amazing student, to be a great doctor. And I had the opportunity to enter Miss South Africa and Miss World. And I thought that, wow, okay, I have this amazing platform. If I'm Miss South Africa and Miss World, obviously I will be able to regain my self-confidence. Obviously, I'll be able to stand in my light and to shine my authentic self. Can you guess what happened? The complete opposite. I still remember them putting the blue Miss World crown on my head, and I felt thousands of eyes on me, watching my every move, watching what I look like, what I'm wearing, what I'm saying. And this measuring tape slowly but surely started to tighten and tighten and tighten. And it finally suffocated me when I became a wife and a mother. Our son was born in January 2017, the January of my final year of med school. My husband and I had a long distance marriage at that stage, and I still remember sitting in front of my Ops and Gynae books. I was studying for an Ops and Gynae exam with my baby boy breastfeeding in the one arm and my Ops and Gynae books in the other arm. And I just asked myself, there has to be more to being women than constantly trying to be perfect, right? There I was, measuring myself against the perfect mom, against the perfect students, and completely falling short in both of them. Feeling guilty because I'm not spending enough time with my family, because I am not studying hard enough. And I realized that I had to take an active step to rediscover my own self-confidence. And that journey for me started in February 2019 when I commenced with my master's degree in philosophy and management coaching at the University of Stellenbosch Business School, a leading business school in South Africa. I came across amazing and life-changing philosophical and psychological methods, ways, and theories to be able to rediscover my self-confidence. After implementing these philosophical and psychological methods during real life trial and error for myself, and also for countless hours of coaching sessions with females, my female clients who also struggled with self-confidence, I realized that this is life-changing. And self-confidence often is seen as a very selfish term. We feel like when we talk about self-confidence, it's extremely selfish. But self-confidence is actually the complete opposite. You are able to be an amazing wife, an amazing mom, an amazing student, an amazing entrepreneur if you are self-confident. Self-confident is like a little stone or a little rock thrown into a pond, and it circles out far wider than anticipated. Self-confidence has been proven to influence your behavior, the choices you make, your productivity at work, your ability to succeed at certain tasks and to reach your goals, even your susceptibility to depression. So self-confidence is such an amazing tool. It's almost like a superpower we have that we can utilize to be the best we can possibly be. So today I want to share with you what I've realized and what I've learned during months and months of in-depth research, talks with mentors, trial and error in the real world regarding self-confidence. For the longest time, I thought that self-confidence is a very abstract term. You either have it or you don't have it. Either you are born with self-confidence or you're born with a lack thereof. But the truth is, self-confidence is almost like a bucket, slowly being filled or emptied by 4 taps. And if you have a pen and a paper with you, this is the time that you want to write these 4 sources, these 4 taps of self-confidence down to be able to use them and implement them in your life to rediscover and regain your self-confidence. I will also be sharing an exciting gift with you with regards to self-confidence and the rediscovery of your self-confidence at the end of this session. So self-confidence, your self-confidence is practically there, and you can practically build your own self-confidence to benefit from it in all areas and all aspects of your life. So the 4 sources of self-confidence. The first source is mastery experiences. This is where the reaching of goals, the repeated reaching of little goals, doesn't matter how big or small, the repeated reaching of goals and successes build your self-confidence. It's filling your self-confidence bucket. But the repeated failure of little goals, repeated failure of things that you set out to do is actually emptying your self-confidence buckets. So think of the previous time or the last time you've reached one of your goals. Doesn't matter how big or small. You probably felt like you could take over the world. So one of the goals that I reached before I came here this morning was taking a cold shower. And I felt like I could take over the world because I set out to do something and I actually did it. So focus on creating ways for you to reach little goals, and most importantly, acknowledge those goals. You can't build on success that you don't acknowledge. Acknowledge the fact that you packed your son's lunch, that you were able to spend quality time with your husband last night. Acknowledge these goals. The second source of self-confidence is secondary experiences. And secondary experiences is where you experience something through the actions of another person. And this sounds crazy, I know, but if you have a role model that's worthy enough to look up to, that you draw inspiration from, and you see this role model overcoming an obstacle that you're also facing, in a way, you're experiencing that success, that overcoming of that obstacle through the actions of your role model. And this gives you, first of all, hope that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that it can be done. And secondly, it makes you feel like you're not alone. This is also important when it comes to building your self-confidence, knowing that you're not alone. So when it comes to role models, I want to just caution you to be careful. As females, we tend to compare ourselves to our role models. Don't compare yourself to your role model. Use your role model as an inspiration. Look up to his or her qualities rather than the person, and draw inspiration from them overcoming challenges that you're facing in your life at the moment. If you don't have a role model that is relevant to your current situation in life, I encourage you to look for someone that you can learn from, that you can look up to, and experience success through their actions. The third source of self-confidence is social and verbal persuasion. So who you surround yourself with is basically like the scalpel in the hand of a surgeon. In your life, who you surround yourself with can steal your life, or it can save your life. Words of encouragement from those around you, from your fellow employees, from the people you surround yourself with, is so extremely important. They can fill your self-confidence bucket, but they can also steal your self-confidence and empty your self-confidence bucket. As important as it is to surround yourself with the right people, your own mind, your own brain, your own self-talk is even more important. What are you telling yourself in the mornings when you get up? Are you encouraging yourself? Are you verbally encouraging yourself? Or are you speaking negative words to yourself? Are you stealing your own self-confidence? Be careful who you surround yourself with and what you say to yourself. The fourth and last source of self-confidence is physical and mental well-being. So when it comes to our physical well-being, our health, there is a certain degree of control we have, but important to focus on the things that you can control. What can you do today to build your self-confidence and to build your physical and mental well-being? Perhaps it is getting productive and quality sleep, moving your body as often as you can. Is it eating wholesome food that actually speak to your cells, that actually feed you and encourage you to be self-confident and to energize you? Are you doing some meditation or some mindfulness practice? What are the things that you can do today to build your physical and your mental well-being? So these are the four sources that has been proven to impact your self-confidence directly, and your self-confidence being able to have that ripple effect on all areas of your life. So with that said, I have an exciting gift that I want to give you. First of all, obviously the Balancing Time with Rolene workbook, but second of all, I used all of these research, everything that I've learned through coaching hours, through trying them out in the real world, and I compiled and I created an online course called Rediscover Your Self-Confidence. Rediscover Your Self-Confidence is the ultimate 7-step self-confidence guide you can use to gain the courage and the confidence to fearlessly chase your dreams. Whether it is becoming the best person you want to become, whether it is to get that leadership role, whether it is to climb the corporate ladder or to be the best mom you can be, to perhaps stand up and speak in front of that crowd, whatever it is you want to do, building and rediscovering your self-confidence will be able to help you to get that. So I created this course and I want to gift you with this course, and I'm going to give you a 10% discount code for Rediscover Your Self-Confidence. If you want to, the Future Females team will also be sharing the link with all of you, but you can visit rolenestrauss.teachable.com and you can use the discount code FEMALE10 as one word and all in capital letters to get 10% discount off Rediscover Your Self-Confidence. You will also have a 30-day money-back guarantee, and the course consists of 7 steps where I'll be guiding you step by step through videos that I took and through worksheets and workbooks that I created, guiding you to rediscover who you really are, to get the courage and the confidence to reach your goals, to chase your dreams. So I really hope that after today's session that you actually have some practical tools and tips to rediscover your self-confidence. And I want to end off the session before we answer a few questions with a piece out of my book, Reflections from the Heart. So as females, we're constantly working towards a better you, trying to improve your time management skills, trying to improve your self-confidence. And a lot of the times, if we focus on the future, so often we tend to neglect the present. We tend to neglect acknowledging where we are right now and realizing that we are where we should be right now. So a piece by W. Timothy Galway. When we plant a rose seed in the earth, we notice that it is small, but we don't condemn it or criticize it as rootless and stemless. We treat it as a seed, giving it the water and nourishment required of a seed. When it first shoots up out of the earth, we don't condemn it as immature and underdeveloped, nor do we criticize the buds for not being open when they appear. We stand in wonder at the process taking place and give the plant the care it needs at each stage of its development. The rose is a rose from the time it is a seed to the time it dies. Within it, at all times, it contains its whole potential. It seems to be constantly in the process of change, yet at each stage, at each moment, it is perfectly all right as it is. So I want you to know that you are perfectly all right where you are. Yes, you are going to manage your time more effectively. You're going to rediscover your self-confidence, become the best you. You're going to start your business. You're going to do what you set out to do. But I want you to know that you are exactly where you should be right now. You are here for a reason. You're put on earth for a reason. And enjoy the process. Acknowledge your wins and have hope for the future. Thank you so much for enabling me to share this with you. And now I think we're going to open the stage for a few questions and answers if we have some time. So I'm not sure whether anyone will be joining us now for a few Q&As.
Thank you so much, Rolene. I actually have a few questions waiting to be asked, and we also have prepared some of our own questions to ask you as well. So just one that we've prepared ourselves that I would like to ask is that we are facing such a different, uncertain and challenging time right now. And in your book, Balancing Time, the first step is to take a look into the future. Can you please share some advice and practical tools that could possibly help us as female founders and entrepreneurs to reimagine our futures and what the benefit of doing this can be? Because everything is so uncertain right now.
It does. And I've actually had a lot of people who use Balancing Time saying and talking to me and saying to me that, how do I, let's say I'm 28 or I'm 32 years old and I actually don't know what my life purpose is. How do I know what I should do in my life? And I usually share a certain tool. I'm not sure if any of you have heard of the Ikigai, but it's a certain tool that I usually say with my coaching clients to be able to realize what what your true passion really is. And I'm going to use this. I hope that you'll be able to see it. I'm going to use this graph. It's 4 circles. And in the middle is our purpose. So if you're not sure exactly what your purpose is, life is uncertain at the moment, things are not looking as bright as it could be. But if you want more clarity on your purpose and your life goal, I want you to think of 4 things. I want you to think of what it is you love doing. What it is that you, what's it that you actually absolutely love doing, that you gain so much energy from? Secondly, what is it that you're really good at? And if you struggle to actually realize what you're good at, ask a few friends, ask a few employees, ask a few people around you, what is it that I'm really good at? So it's what I love doing, what am I really good at? Secondly, what does the world need right now? When it comes to business terms, you know, who is my target market and what is their needs? What does the world need? What can I use that has been given to me? What can I use that are my strengths to be able to give the world what it really needs? And the 4th and last one is, what will I be able to get paid for? That's something that we sometimes neglect. So what is it that you love doing? What is it that you're good at? What is it that the world needs? And what is it that you'll be able to get paid for? And this gives you usually a lot of clarity on your life purpose and what you want to be able to reach with your life.
Thank you so much for that. And we have another question on how do you rebuild your social circle to surround yourself with the right people, especially if you work alone?
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry about that.
I'm going to go on and tell a little short story to reiterate this. And it's a story of a sunflower farmer. So once upon a time, there was a sunflower farmer. And this sunflower farmer took part in a sunflower competition in her town. All of the farmers in the region took part in this competition year after year after year. And every year they would choose a winner of this sunflower competition. And this specific sunflower farmer ended up winning year after year, always winning the sunflower competition. She has the most beautiful, biggest, brightest, yellowest sunflowers ever. Every year she won. And it was time for the sunflower competition once again. The journalist came in to actually cover the story. And can you guess who won the competition? This specific sunflower farm. The journalist couldn't imagine, you know, what is her secret? How does she enable herself to win this competition year after year? And he decided to actually follow her back to her farm. So when the competition was done, she took her beautiful sunflower who just won the prize, she put it in the back of her bakkie, and she drove off to her farm. And the journalist climbed on his motorcycle and he followed her to her house and to her farm. He looked at her when she actually took the sunflower from the back of her bakkie and she broke it open. She broke the head of the sunflower open, and she took some of the most amazing sunflower seeds and she put it in her pockets. She climbed back into her car and she drove to her neighbor. She got to her neighbor. The journalist was wondering, okay, what is going to happen here? She knocked on the door and the neighbor opened the door, and the journalist couldn't believe his eyes. There she was, giving these beautiful sunflower seeds to her neighbor. And he came up to her and he's like, what on earth are you doing? How can you use your magical tool, your secret weapon to winning this competition year after year and giving it to your neighbor? What are you thinking? And she looked at him with a grin and she said, do you know what very few people remember? The bees come around every year and they cross-pollinate my sunflowers with my neighbor's sunflowers. The only way I'm able to have the biggest, most beautiful and brightest sunflowers is if I'm surrounded by neighbors with beautiful, bright yellow sunflowers. So when it comes to your life, I want you to think of the sunflower farmers around you. Who are they? What are the quality of their sunflowers? Are they actually enabling you to be better, to be brighter, to be more self-confident, or are they stealing your self-confidence? And are you planting sunflower seeds, or are you gifting sunflower seeds to those around you?
That was such a beautiful short story. Thank you so much. I think a lot of us can definitely relate on the fact that we all want to have a great sunflower gang. There's a huge movement with the girl gang and having a good support structure. So that's such a beautiful story, and it makes so much sense. We have a question from Rosalie in Netherlands, who says, how do you handle the insecurities about being visible online and when people around you are criticizing it as well?
Yes. I think when it comes to an online presence, a mindset change is extremely important. There are two types of mindsets when you're online, and let's say for me, I have, I think, almost 307 or something, just over 300,000 followers on Instagram, for instance. And I realized that I can either see the platform as influencing me, so almost like a thermometer, you know, the environment influencing me, or I can see myself being able to influence the followers, the people that are actually on my platform. I can see myself as a thermostat influencing those around me. So what is your mindset when it comes to your online presence, when it comes to people messaging you with hate talk? Are you seeing them influencing you, or are you going to influence them? And are you going to be able to use the platform for good?
And we have sort of a very similar question between Sarita and Micah. So one is about keeping focus and maintaining it. So Sarita says, I tend to start off well, but then taper off. My focus is not constant. How do I keep that? And Micah then asks also about work-life balance. Is that an outdated term, or is it applicable to today's lifestyle?
So for the first question is, what I've seen, especially in most of my coaching clients, and I'll tell you a little bit about one of my coaching clients. Obviously, I'm not mentioning her name or anything, but to realize, why are you actually working towards a certain goal? I had a coaching client who came in and she told me, Rolene, I really want to focus on my health. I really want to be healthy. I want to look good. I asked her, okay, why do you want to be healthy? She mentioned, because I want to look good. Okay, so this was her frame of reference. Her motivation to be healthy was she wanted to look good. She wanted to fit into a certain jean size. When we followed a specific process that I love following with my clients, I asked her a series of questions, and she actually realized that she wanted to be healthy because she has 2 young sons, and she wants to be able to spend quality time with her 2 young sons. This completely changed the ball game. She realized that her true motivation for health is not being able to look good, but being able to spend quality time with her sons. So if you come across and if you realize what your true motivation is behind the goal that you want to reach, what that bedrock motivation is, it's so much more powerful, and it's a much more sustainable way of staying motivated. So if you want to reach a certain goal, what is your true reason for it? Ask yourself 5 times, why do I want to do this? Okay, why do I want to do this? And get to the true reason behind it. And then the second question that you asked was work-life balance. And that's one of the things that a lot of us women struggle with. And something that I realized is to look at the different roles that you play in your life and see them as balls, okay? And I've shared this quite a couple of times, but some of these balls are rubber balls. Some of these balls are glass balls. So when it comes to working and balancing these and juggling these, you have to be able to say, which balls are rubber balls? Which balls am I able to actually drop? They'll bounce a few times, but then I'll be able to catch them again. Which of these are glass balls that I'm not able to drop? For me, one of my glass balls is my family. I'm not able to drop this because it'll break and I won't be able to get it back together the way it was. So when it comes to work-life balance, think of your roles as different balls. Okay, I think it seems like we've
Sorry, our connection is a
Oh,
little
here you are.
bit
Here
rocky.
you are. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, our connection keeps coming in and out. I'm just going to finish off with 2 more questions, and then we're going to have to end the session. Unfortunately, I know that many of the women here have thoroughly enjoyed your talk and your answers, and we have booming with many questions, but unfortunately, we can't get to all of them. But one, Kayla asked tips on being confident and assertive enough to ask for the money you know you deserve at work without compromising the relationship as well.
Okay. This is something that I personally also struggle with, is a conversation that might be able to lead to a little bit of confrontation. And I've came across an amazing way to deal with a confrontational relationship, a confrontational talk or conversation, and actually turn it into a carefrontation. Into a carefrontational conversation. And I'm going to share a few steps that I usually do to be able to do this. So if you have the confidence that this is something that you have to talk to about your boss or whatever it is, this is something that you need to do, this is the right thing to do, I encourage you to follow these steps. And I'm going to have to think very carefully to be able to give this to you over correctly. But first of all, to start the conversation, not at a level 0, but at a plus level. So let's say the conversation is at level 0. Don't start it at 0, because then you're going to talk about difficult things, and the conversational level might drop down to, let's say, a -1 or a -2. Start the conversation at a +3. So start the conversation by actually telling authentically the person that you're talking to what you admire about them. What is it that you look up to in them? Start with their name. Laura or Gary, I really admire the fact that you are so set on making this business work. I really admire the fact that you have an amazing work ethic. So start the conversational level at, let's say, level 3. Then you move on and you start talking authentically. You actually appreciate the person for being able to have this difficult conversation with him or her. I appreciate the fact that I'm able to talk to you about this. And then you make a genuine request. It's not telling someone, it's making a request and asking them. So when it comes to a conversation like this, the other person's buy-in is the most important thing. You want them to buy in. You want them to ask them for agreements. Can we agree? Can we agree that, let's say, I want to be able to know that I'm really, really benefiting the business or whatever. Can we agree that you will be able to support me in this way and getting their buy-in? So it is, just as a summary last time, start the conversation at a level plus. Be authentic when it comes to your admirable quotes and sentences about this person. Ask them for a genuine request. Please support me in this. Or will you be able to support me in this way? Can I ask this from you? And then lastly, appreciating them for being able to have the conversation with them. So I hope that was very, very valuable.
Thank you so much for that. And the last question. So in your Balancing Time workbook, one of the main lessons that you emphasize as well is what we need to all learn to develop to say is to just say no. To learn to develop that muscle. So as women, as mothers, as female founders and business owners, this is not a muscle that is often flexed. We always want to say yes to everything that we can take on, and especially when trying to get our brand story out there. So we try and take on as much as possible, and then as a consequence, we sort of lose out on great opportunities because we get overinvested in our time supply, so to say. So what are some of the practical guidelines that you can give us as an option or position ourselves most favorably without any of the potential negative backlash of saying no?
Yes. So when it comes to saying no, I always try to think of it as when I say yes to something, I indirectly say no to something else. So when you say yes to something, you say no to something else. And when you realize that the ripple effect of you saying yes rather than no goes out far wider than you anticipate and than you want to. And then something that we that we think a misconception about saying no is that by saying no, you're being rude. You don't have to be rude when you say no. You don't have to be rude. So I tend to prepare for a situation where I have to say no, because I am inherently a people's pleaser. I don't want to say no to a lot of people. And I've burned my fingers so many times. So as part of the workbook, I actually ask you to think of certain things that you're going to have to say no to in the week and to prepare for them in advance. So I'm going to have to say no to baking the cookies for my son's school because I literally don't have the time. So how am I going to do this? I'm going to prepare something to make sure that I'm not coming across as rude, but that I still come across strong and that I'm still able to say no. So prepare for this. If it's so difficult for you while you're still being able, or while you're still trying to flex that muscle and work on that muscle, I also surround myself with people who's able to say no for me. So I have certain people around me that in difficult situations where I need to say no, but I really struggle, that they'll be able to say no on my behalf or for me, whether it is your secretary saying no, whether it is someone else that you really want to say no to. So those are the things that I use to say no, remembering that it is not rude to say no. You actually gain respect by standing up for what you believe in and standing up for what is necessary in your life.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Rolene, for taking the time to share your tips and tricks on time management, building your self-confidence. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up. I feel like we could probably sit and talk all day about all of this. Thank you so much. I know that a lot of us are going to take away on the fact that it is important to say no to get, and then you can actually gain more respect from that and not think that we're going to be compromising ourselves. I think a few of us are definitely taking that sunflower story to heart as well and going to go find our sunflower tribe. And thank you so much. We will be sharing the workbook as well with you, ladies, and then also the discount code for Rolene's course. Tune in for the next session at 10, which is Lucy Johnston, and it's Maximizing Life Hacks. Thank you so much for today, Rolene. I hope you have a wonderful day, and to everyone else.
Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.